Hello and welcome back to my craft room. I suddenly realised this morning that I was going to come back and show you when I'd finished roughly stitching the pieces onto my needle case, and I remember saying, oh, I'll come back and show you when I'm ready to start decorative stitching. Well, I got carried away over the last couple of evenings and I've almost finished the decorative stitching and suddenly remembered this morning. So I'm going to show you now, and I'm ready to start putting the insides together and binding the edges, so I can show you that. But just before I do that, I just wanted to give you a little sneaky peek at what I've decided I'm going to be doing during the special birthday live stream. So I'm going to be doing another Saturday night in, Saturday 4th of March, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. UK time. This time it's a special celebration for my birthday, so I've got a special guest and I'm going to be doing some giveaways. We're giving away 2 Scrawler boxes and a custom made hand stitched journal wrap, a bit like this one. This is my own one. You can enter that giveaway now. I'll put all the details in the description box below here. And thank you very much to Scrawler Box, who have kindly donated one of the Scrawler boxes that we're giving away. So what I wanted to do is give you a sneaky peek at what I'm going to be doing during the stream, so that if you want to, you can gather some similar supplies and join in with me and do something similar. So I wanted to come up with something that would appeal to all of my viewers, because I know some of you like the more arty things, some like the more crafty things and slow stitching and stuff, and some like me like a bit of everything. So I've tried to come up with something that includes a bit of everything. So let me show you what I've got. So I'm going to make, when I'm making these kind of things, it's nice to apply little patches. Like that one was cut from a piece of fabric, but it's nice to apply little patches with a bit of wording on, and I've started making these little things just out of small bits. I could personalize this, and in fact I can do this for the winner of the journal wrap. I could put a name or a date, or a special word. I shall be custom making the one that I do as a giveaway, and so the winner can tell me if they've got preferences for colour and things like that. So yeah, it's nice to have little patches like this to put on, and you can make them up out of next to nothing, and they're kind of partly arted and partly stitched. So let me show you what I mean. I've used these Inktense pencils. I love Inktense pencils for so many things, and they're great to use on fabric, and once they've been activated with water and then heat set, they are permanent and washable, which is great. You could do this with watercolour pencils as well, but I don't think those would be permanent. Inktense are permanent, and you can buy them individually, so you could just get a couple of colours to try out and see what you think. Other than that, you'd only need a little brush, and I've discovered that I've done a few different experiments, and you might have seen a previous video I did a while back it was a fabric page in Create This Book, so it'll be on the Create This Book playlist, painting onto fabric with Inktense pencils. And I tried a few different methods, and what I've discovered is the simplest and easiest way to do it is using this aloe vera gel, something like this. So it's really nice for moisturising your hands, but if you use that to activate the Inktense instead of water, it stops it kind of continue. I think it's because it dries up so quickly and just sits on the surface of the fabric rather than spreading out like it does with water. So you need some kind of aloe vera gel. I just got that online, it wasn't expensive, and it's quite nice for your hands anyway. Obviously some kind of plain fabric. An off-white is nice as well, or you could just use coloured fabric, but bear in mind the colours you're going to use on it. This is polycotton, and then I used also some little scraps, small scraps of fabric like this to just back it with, to make it a bit more interesting, and then an embroidery needle and some embroidery threads just to finish them off, and like added it. So I've kind of done a bit of, go to focus, bit of chain stitch. You can see my stitching isn't marvellous, but it doesn't need to be for this. Yeah, just done a chain stitch around the outside, a whipped running stitch there, just some plain running stitches here, and then I have stamped a word on. I was going to stamp a word on there, but I filled it. I filled the space. So I've used, you could use StazOn ink, just something that would be permanent again, and this archival ink is what I've used there. To stamp the little words. So I've had this for years. I think it cost me 99p in Hobbycraft or something years ago. I think my husband bought me this set a while back, and I've got this lovely one in a box that Tom got me. I think he got that from AliExpress actually. So some kind of stamp, alphabet stamps like that. So if you fancy or you could just embroider words actually, that'd be nice too, but this is quicker. Before the live I will probably just get a little sketchbook and draw myself out some little simple motifs, because that will make it easier. And actually if you draw them quite bold on a piece of paper and you've got fabric like this, you can usually kind of see through enough as well. There, you can see there. So if you want to join me and have a go at this, maybe draw out some little motifs for yourself first if you're not confident enough drawing them freehand straight on like that. You could do the stitching afterwards or stitch along with me. Aloe vera gel, a couple of Inktense pencils, some letter stamps and some kind of permanent ink, and maybe scraps of coloured fabric to layer up. It might be that you just, it'll be a kind of project that you'll finish off after the stream. It's only a couple of hours, so we'll see. Okay, let's put all of this out of the way because I need a bit of space now. So let's get on with what I'm really meant to be doing today. So here is my progress so far with my needle case. So as you can see, I've just used a tiny running stitch and colourful embroidery threads. I've got a whole drawer full of these. A lot of them were donated to me by a friend who does a lot of cross stitch, so I've got loads to use up, so it's nice to have an excuse to use them. So I stitched them all on first, so kind of the whole thing was looking like this, stitched on but still with raw edges. And then I went back over and sort of did different kinds of decorative stitches in between. And this the method I used was inspired by Tori of Cool Cookie Creatures. I will put a link to her channel. There's so many brilliant tutorials to watch, and I'm going to be binge watching her for weeks, catching up, because I've only just discovered her channel. I've kind of butchered the cookie method a little bit, but this was very much inspired by that. And she went on and did a little created a little vase out of one of the patches and embroidered flowers, so I might do that later on. But at the moment I want to get the structure of my needle case sorted out. So like I explained last time, it's going to be more than just the needle case. I want to be able to store my needles in it. I want a little padded bit for pins, and I want a tiny pocket to slip just a little dinky pair of scissors in, like this kind of thing, so that essentially I can grab everything I need for my bit of slow stitching. Probably also a pocket for some embroidery thread cards as well, although I could just take a couple of skeins and roll them up in it, so the whole thing will roll up much like that art journal wrap, and then I'll tie it round like that. So I've got to think a bit now about how I'm going to finish it. I've got some little flowers here. So all of these fabrics were reclaimed Indian fabrics, which I got through Bazaar. So I keep looking at the camera to talk to you, and you can't see me. Hang on. So yeah, they all came from the Indian reclaimed fabrics that I got from Bazaar. I'll leave a link to Bazaar. If you order from them, their scrap packs are fantastic. If you look at the unboxings playlist on my channel, there are a couple of humdinger openings of Bazaar scrap packs if you want to see what's inside them. If you order from them, when you come to the end to check out, put a message to the seller, Arty Farty Annie Treat, and they will put in a little extra something or other for you, just a little treat. Can't say what it'll be, it depends on what they've got around at the time and on what you've ordered, but I thoroughly recommend them. They're lovely. I love what they do anyway, and I love how they do it, and but it's always really nice to get a little extra treat for nothing, isn't it? So remember to do that, and remember to put Bazaar free postage in the promo code thing as well, and you'll get free postage over £30. I forgot that. Voice of experience. Okay, so shut up waffling and get on with it. So I've put aside a couple of pieces of fabric, which these have also come out the Bazaar scrap packs, and I think this one's interesting because it's obviously it was a pocket or something, so it's got this kind of drawstring, and I'm just wondering if I can utilise that in some way. Like that could be what I stuff my embroidery threads into, couldn't it? I'm going to have a little fiddle with this for a couple of minutes, and I'll come back when I've sorted myself out. Right, so I finished fiddling about. It's taken me quite a while trying different combinations. In the end, I found this in my Bazaar scrap bag, so it's got a bit of stretch to it. So I've cut a piece of that, which I will catch into the binding. So I'll need to turn it under here and stitch that down, and the rest will be caught into the binding, and that'll make a little pocket for me to put things like embroidery threads in. Then I've taken a little piece of the hem of one of those scraps. I shall turn that over to make a little strip like that and stitch it down and put a couple of stitches through so that will hold. I can pop my little pair of scissors in there, or a pen could go in there as well. Sometimes I like a pen or pencil to be drawing onto fabrics with, like when I'm doing this kind of thing. And then I think I'll put another one up there and do a similar thing, and I can slot either I'll just stitch it there and there, and I'll slot a little tiny box with my needle threaders in, or I'll maybe just slot the needle threaders straight in there. I haven't decided. I have to wait and see how that goes. This is going to be a pincushion, so I've got 2 pieces, and I'll stuff it. That one's actually multi-layered. I'll stuff it to make a little pincushion, but I want it to be a removable pincushion. So I will, when I'm stitching it up, I will incorporate this little loop, and then I'm going to cut a button off of this. Couldn't work out a way to incorporate this in the end. I'm going to take that button off, and I'll stitch the button on there. The loop can go over the button to hold the pincushion in. Basically 2 kind of pages in my needle book, and each page has got 2 layers of outer fabric, and then another little piece of my husband's old rugby shirt I've been using up recently to give it a bit of body, so that this will be what the needles actually go into. So I've got all that to stitch together. So then when I come to close it up, I can close that. The pincushion will sit there. These will be here. Those will be stuffed full of it. So sometimes this could be quite fat, but sometimes it won't need to have very much in it at all. So it just depends. It will be quite adaptable to what I've got on at the time. Then the whole lot will roll up like that. I'll use a piece of sari ribbon or something to create a closure, and what I might do is just use I cut this off one of the garments in the scrap bags and I'll just use that to hold that sari ribbon on to just finish, cover where I've stitched it on really, and then the whole thing will wind around. And then the only other thing I've got to do is the binding. I kept this strip because this was just the strip that was in, it was like this in one of the scrap bags. So I'm going to take all this off now. So for the outside I need to, the button will go on, and these little bits and pieces of doodads from the scrap bags will go on. I might have a few more of those. It's a good way to use them up. And then I need a binding, so I'm going to do it the way Tori shows on her channel. So I shall stitch it all along there and then turn it over, go on to the other side, turn it over again, and just finish it off. So I'm just creating a little binding to enclose all the raw edges. And I'm really desperate to bring this in again, the scrap bag goodie. So I think I'm just going to put it like that. So yeah, I'm going to gather up all of these bits and pieces. And that'll be a couple of evenings, I think, spent putting all of that together. It's the kind of thing I love doing in front of the telly. And this just to give an idea of what these could look like. So say this is all, that's quite cute. Let's say this is all, so I've got that all rolled up. Looks nice having one of these on there. So I'm going to gather all that up, spend a couple of evenings. It will probably be next week now by the time I finish that, and I'll come back and show you. So that's it from me today. So don't forget to enter that giveaway. There's 3 ways you can do it. One on Instagram, one on Facebook, and one by coming to the live here on YouTube. You can join in via the live chat. I'll leave links to everything in the description. I will put a little post about that in the Facebook group as well. thanks very much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you again really soon.